let's go to some securities that IOFI has mentioned. There is a Sharia standard on guarantees, also discussed in Murabaha. Also later on, there is another Sharia standard on Arbun. I believe it's not part of the curriculum, so you may not have to look it right now, but you can look it later on. But in general, if we look at from a holistic point of view, now Hamish Jiddiya is a security deposit that is being made during the promise stage, before the contract being executed, right? Let's say a Murabaha. A customer goes to the IFI, he wants to purchase a car, and then the IFI has to find the vendor, purchase the car, and then sell to the customer. But what if IFI, after purchasing the car, doesn't have the client anymore and the client just runs away? So the IFI will incur a loss. Hence, IFI can require a Hamish Jiddiya, a security deposit from the customer, before purchasing the commodity or the product from the vendor. That's what we call Hamish Jiddiya. Another type of security deposit, or we can call it earnest money, is Arbun. Arbun is taken after the contract has been completed. So in the same scenario, the IFI has purchased from the vendor, then it signed a Murabaha agreement with the client, and then it has taken an Arbun, an earnest money. So this is the difference between the two. Please remember that Hamish Jiddiya comes before contract, Arbun comes after contract. Now there is a slight difference in the ruling between the two. When it comes to Hamish Jiddiya, let's say after the promise, the customer has decided to just run away for whatever reason. Maybe an emergency came and he has changed his mind or whatever. Let's say he has given $10,000 as a security deposit, whereby the car deal was around $100,000. And the IFI has only incurred a cost of $90,000. So IFI wanted to make $10,000 out of it and sell it to the customer for $100,000, whereby the customer has put $10,000 as Hamish Jiddiya. So what happens after the IFI has spent $90,000 to acquire the car? It finds that the customer is no longer there, or the customer is backing out. So what it will do? It will have to sell to another party, a third party. Now let's say after selling to the third party, it was able to sell at $95,000. So it purchased at 90 and it was able to sell at $95,000. It was still short of $5,000 that it was supposed to sell to this customer, right? Now, is it a loss or not? It is an opportunity loss, not an actual loss. Actual loss is where you lost the capital. So in this case, for example, maybe IFI has put 90,000, but it was only able to recover 85,000. That is an actual loss. But in this case, it was still able to make 5,000 profit, even though it was short from the expected profit it could make from the client. So this is not an actual loss. Hence, IFI has to return the entire amount to the customer, even though he backed out. So you will find this over and over again in IOFI Sharia standards, that opportunity loss is not considered as an actual loss, something that can be recovered from the other party in Sharia. Opportunity loss is any loss that actually didn't happen per se. I mean, someone didn't lose the capital. Rather, it just came short of the expected income or expected revenue. Now, in case of Arbun, let's say the same scenario, the contract happened for $100,000, and then the customer has given $10,000 saying that I will be paying the rest $19,000, let's say within X amount of time, within X month of time. But it hasn't yet, there is still chance that this contract may not go long and the customer may back out. So this is where it can be considered as an advance payment against the contract. Now, what happens after some time? The IFI finds that the customer has backed out and he doesn't want to continue. Now, in that case, it may retain the entire $10,000, However, it is still best for it to retain only actual loss, meaning the same way. So just like Hamish Judea, now the IFI has to sell this car to someone else, and let's say it has been able to recover more than $90,000, more than the initial capital it has put. So there is no actual loss, right? No actual loss. So by default, it is possible that it retains the entire $10,000. So it makes this 95 plus 10, $105,000, right? It may retain, but the best is to return anything other than the actual loss, both for Arbun and Hamish Judea. Okay, when it comes to promissory notes or different types of checks, it can be only used, it shouldn't be used before the due date, it should be only used on the due date. I think that's very general. Yeah, so these are few securities mentioned here, but there could be difference as well. This session was brought to you by Taif and Adil. If you have benefited from it, please share in your social media platforms about both the entities and share the word, spread the word. Jazakumullah khairan.